videos that I'm a fan of RPGs, especially Japanese RPGs. So Final Fantasy IX is up there as one of my favourite games, mainly because the story is really good. The graphics at the time were actually really good as well. I know they're probably looking a bit dated compared to some of the 4K stuff you can get now, but back when this came out in the early 2000s, this was high tech stuff, and the combat and the music as well was really good for this Final Fantasy. I know it's a series that's known for all those things, but this is arguably the peak. And I remember when this first came out, there was a PD day at school, which that's like a teacher training day for those that aren't in the UK. And this came out on one of those days, so I went straight into town and picked it up. And because I didn't have school, I had nothing to do all day, so I'm pretty sure I completed the whole first disc in one session. This brings back a lot of good memories. With the videos that I'm going to show in this video, I'm going to try and not show too many spoilers. So this is early footage in Final Fantasy IX, so there's no major spoilers here. But some of the characters in this Final Fantasy were really good as well, like Zidane and Steiner, Vivi, Dagger. They were a great cast of characters. So there will be other RPGs in this list, but this is definitely one of the ones that go up there in the top 10. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the rankings as well, because especially when it comes to Final Fantasy games, you can have a very debated chat about the order and how good they are. There is going to be another Final Fantasy on this list, but it's something that people definitely like to argue a lot on the internet about. So but I spent a lot of my childhood growing up on Final Fantasy, so this always brings back some good memories. I've probably completed it a few times now. This is footage from the PS4 version, but I didn't get the platinum on this one because there's some crazy achievements for it. Like one of the achievements is you've got to finish the game in under 12 hours, which is only possible if you play it on. There's like a fast mode that you can set up so the game runs at triple speed. And I not even attempted that. That sounds just crazy. So I'm definitely not going to get the platinum on this one. But I like the equipment in this game as well, because it's how you learn your abilities is by equipping new equipment. So a lot of the time it forced you to wear equipment that was worse for you, so you could learn a better skill. But once you learn the skill, you can change the equipment. So it's just how their AP works in this game. So other Final Fantasies had it so that you had to equip different items other than equipment to learn new skills. But this one was it was attached to the equipment itself, and you could also make new equipment by combining others together as well. So that was always a good thing to do. But this is only footage of I suppose it's the first boss really, but it's not a very hard one at all. I mean, you might not even class it as the first boss really, because the first boss might be at the end of this level. But yeah, that's Final Fantasy IX, number 10. Number 9. Gear Solid on PlayStation 1. There's going to be a couple of PlayStation 1 games on here, but that's the console that I had as I was growing up as a teenager, so there's definitely going to be a lot of games there that shaped my childhood. But Metal Gear Solid 1 was a very special game at the time. There wasn't really a stealth genre when this came out. There was a couple of games, like I want to say Tenchu was out, which is a stealth assassin game. But you didn't have the likes of Assassin's Creed or Splinter Cell. So when this came out, it was quite a unique thing, and we'd never really seen a game like this before either, as well, because as I'm sure many know now about Hideo Kojima, but it's a very story-driven game, and for a game that was as popular as this to be so heavily story-driven was quite unique. Normally at the time, games that were popular they were either like sports games or action games, but this was an action game that had a heavy story. I mean, some of the cutscenes in this game can be like half an hour to 45 minutes long, and some of the cutscenes in the series further on into the Metal Gear franchise as well had even longer cutscenes. So, but it had very good action, very good storytelling, and the ending, like the ending fight sequences, were such fun. And another thing were the characters as well for this game, because you had like the ninja, who was definitely a fan favourite at the time, and all the bosses as well were so unique, and that you always had different ways to defeat them, like Vulcan Raven and Revolver Ocelot as well. They're ones that always ring a bell. And the voice acting for this as well was really good. Voice acting was quite rare on the PS1 era. Some games had it, but this was fully voice acted. Very few things were done just by text. So, they got the voice acting cast spot on for it as well. So most of the characters in this that were carried on into the other games had the same voice actors throughout. So if you like your stealth games and you haven't played this Metal Gear Solid, you should definitely do it. It's considered a classic for a reason. And here we go. There's a security camera up there. The graphics weren't the greatest, especially. I mean, for the time, graphics weren't great anyway, but you could definitely get better graphics around this time on the PlayStation 1, but they chose to have this sort of graphical style just to make it run a bit smoother, because there's no loading screens for this whatsoever. It's all one giant map essentially. I was kind of hoping that they would remake this game, but apparently the rumours are that Metal Gear Solid 3 is being remade first, which is another great game. But I just prefer this one. The boss battles in this one are a lot better, I think, than in Metal Gear Solid 3. So, I mean, again, there's going to be a lot of people that don't like that comment, but because it seems to be one of those games that you either love Metal Gear Solid 1 or 3, but Metal Gear Solid 1 was just such a good game at the time, and it also I have fond memories of the demo disc as well that came with the official PlayStation magazine. That's the official PlayStation magazine came with a demo disc that lasted about an hour long of this, and it was actually unique because it had hidden Easter eggs that weren't in the game. So in the demo disc you could get some of the more advanced weapons if you knew where to find them, and you had to do certain things to unlock them as well. So I must have played that demo disc for quite a while before the game came out, I remember talking with friends at school about what we'd unlocked as well. Number 8. Zelda Link's Awakening. So the footage that I have here is of the Switch remake. I have more fond memories of the Game Boy Color version, but unfortunately I can't record footage for that. So, but yeah, this is the remake for Switch that I'm showing here. But it's essentially it was a like for like remake of the game. They just used a new graphics engine for it, and showing the old graphics as well is a bit jarring on a HD screen now. So, but this was the first Game Boy game I ever played, and it's probably the best as well. So basically, it was a isometric like adventure game, I suppose is the best way. It's a typical Zelda fare where you have an open world map for you to explore, and there's 8 dungeons that you need to get various items out of to be able to unlock the last area of the game and do whatever you need to do. In this specific game, you wake up on a desert island and not sure how you got there, and you're told that the island is cursed and no one can ever leave. So the only way that you can leave is by waking up what's known as the wind fish, which is a creature that rolls over the island. And to wake it up, you need to collect 8 instruments, and the 8 instruments are found in the 8 dungeons. So so that's basically the premise of the game. You get to explore all these dungeons and find new items that help you explore even more. Like there's a power bracelet and the hook shots in this one, and what else was there? There was you had to have an item to jump on this one. You have to have the rock leaf. What was amazing about the original Game Boy game was that the Game Boy only had 2 buttons. So you basically had all your items assigned to 2 button presses. So you would have to press start to bring up a menu, choose what 2 items you wanted assigned to the buttons, and then press start to close again. And then that's what would happen with the 2 buttons when you were playing, and that even included your sword. So that's one of the quality of life issues that the remake brought, was that because the Switch had more buttons, you didn't say, for instance, you didn't have to assign the shield or sword to buttons, because they could just be triggers. Though that's definitely one thing that the remake does above anything else. It's because you haven't got to keep pausing the game to switch between items. I remember one of the puzzles in the original was that you had to have the Pegasus boots on, which let you run really quickly, and the rock feather on at the same time, so you couldn't have a sword or shield equipped, which meant you were vulnerable to attack. But you had to use that combo to be able to run over to jump over bigger holes. So it was an interesting game. It's always good to see how games get around their limitations and then still end up being like genre-defying games. So it was like at the time when I got my Game Boy, I was very young. I was under 10, and it just blew my mind how much content this game had for something that was portable. Because at the time I only had an Amiga 600, which is for those that don't live in Britain, it's like a home PC that ran games on floppy disks. But it's one of those, if you can pick it up for the Switch, it's definitely worth playing this game. One of the better Zeldas in my opinion. Number 7. Turrican II is going to be my 7th pick of the top 10. Turrican II was originally it was an Amiga game, but you can get it on I want to say the SNES as well. But for those that don't know, Turrican II was kind of I don't know if it was originally meant to be a Contra clone or if this came out before Contra, but it's the same similar sort of platformer running shooting game. But Turrican II played a lot smoother, in my opinion, and was by far the better game. Again, that's probably going to rile some comments up because a lot of people love the original Contra and Super Contra, but the Turrican for me was just one of those games from my early childhood that I constantly played on the Amiga. It's quite impressive, to be fair, because this actually is running on floppy disks, so 3.5-inch floppy disks that you. I think the majority of the game was on one disc. It might have been the final boss battle, and the level before was on the second disc, maybe. But this game was just really good fun. It's super fast paced, which for an Amiga game is quite rare, and just the way that it handles combat as well is so good. Because Contra got it right as well, but being able to aim in all different ways just makes the game so much easier to play and more fun. We got a boss battle here, and the designs as well were really good as well. But you can probably see some Metroid influences there as well by being able to run into a ball. But this does bring back a lot of childhood memories. I can't even remember the story of the game now, but you were some sort of super soldier, and you just basically ran through all the levels and blasted anything that tried to fight back at you. And you could unlock all these different power-ups for your guns, and different weapon types as well, I think. And just one of those great games. You can get a Switch collection of these games now. I think it has 1 to 4 on it, or it might be 1 and 2, and then the Super Nintendo versions of them. But they were. I think they go pretty cheap as well. I might look into picking that up actually. They were beloved games from the Amiga era. One of the few game series that warranted owning an Amiga, if I'm honest. But when we were kids, we couldn't afford the latest console, so while everyone else was playing Mega Drive, I was still playing home computer games like the Amiga and Commodore and stuff like that. So, definitely had to put this on the list because it's just really fun to control and play. I've just remembered the name of the guy that you play. He's called Bren Maguire, and the bad guy was called the Machine, and the Machine basically attacks the planet that you're on, called the United Colonies of Avalon or something like that. And basically anyone that resisted the Machine was slaughtered, and you're a soldier that was brought forth to attack the Machine. But it was thought Bren Maguire was a very macho name, even though you don't hear many people being called Bren. It's just a super fun game to play. Number 6. So, Uncharted 4 is, just going to throw it out there, the best action game that I've ever played. This is essentially like playing a movie, is the best way that I can explain it. You play as Nathan Drake, who is a explorer, much in the vein of like Tomb Raider. Indiana Jones, he basically explores for old relics. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just these set pieces in this game are just incredible. Like, you do feel like you're at the helm of the latest, well, not the latest Indiana Jones film, because that's meant to be rubbish apparently, but you do feel like that yeah, you're going from set piece to set piece, constant action. The shooting in this game isn't the greatest. It's a bit of a cover shooter, but it's not bad. You still have fun doing it, and with this game, they've made it a lot more easier to be able to traverse landscapes. So you have like a whip. It's not like a whip. It's like a grappling hook that you can use to swing about places, and that in itself can be a weapon. I mean, you can actually see me use it here. You can use it to winch stuff up as well. Sometimes it's part of the puzzles, which this game does have puzzles as well. So, yeah, it's an incredible game. The three before it as well are good games, especially number 2. But this one just seemed to get it perfectly spot on. The story as well is actually really good. It's got 2 of the best voice actors in the business playing Drake and Drake's brother, and some of the chit chat they have between themselves while playing is quite hilarious. But it's super funny to watch how they have some brotherly love sometimes, and but this game perfectly finishes what you would call the Nathan Drake arc, and yeah, I hope they don't mess that up by going back to this era, because this just had the perfect ending in my opinion. One of the reasons why 4 even exists was because the ending to number 3 was actually quite terrible. It didn't have that satisfaction that you needed, but yeah, there's just it is a bit of a bog standard shooter game, but yeah, the action, the set pieces, and the exploring as well, because there was a lot of what hadn't happened in the previous games was there's actually open world areas like this one where you get to drive about and explore nooks and crannies, and the other games were quite linear. There was always little paths off the beaten track that you could find collectibles in, but this one was just it wasn't fully open world, because there's different areas in the game that you travel to, but there were certain levels where it was just one giant open expanse and you had to find your way across it, with much being this Africa level as well. But there was always multiple ways to solve a problem as well, which was quite cool. It looks like I'm going to just attack here by the looks of it, but yeah, it's can't really recommend this game enough. It was one of the first PS4 games that I got as well, and yeah, definitely worth the price of admission. You can see what I mean by a bit of a basic shooter, though. The enemies aren't super hard. They'll get behind cover, but they will also do dumb things like just run out of it as well, like that. There you go. Just to get shot by you, but you know, again, it's not really about the shooting. It's about everything else that the game does spot on. Number 5. So number 5 is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Yeah, another PS1 game, I'm afraid, but man, what a PS1 game this was. This is one of the games that kind of proved that you don't need to do the newest graphical thing to be a good game. This was this is an era where a lot of people were trying 3D graphics out for the first time, and some companies got it right and some companies failed, but Konami here just decided to go with an original 2D Castlevania game, and man, this game just brings back so many memories. It was done in the style of Metroid, so it actually helped coin the phrase Metroidvania, as this was the first Castlevania to adopt that labyrinth style of gameplay. But when I was a kid playing this, I didn't even realise that there was a second castle to explore. I'd thought when you defeated Belmont, that was it. But it turns out there's actually a secret where if you find 2 specific items, you can equip them and actually see that the boss is being possessed. And if you defeat what was possessing him, you unlock a whole second castle that's upside down, where you find the true Dracula to defeat. And it just completely blew my mind when I found that out. This is footage from the remake on PS4, but the game itself was just a joy to play. It's the perfect controls for this type of platforming action, and you had lots of different equipment to use and try. Like most of the Castlevania games, either they lock you into a specific weapon, so it could be a whip or a sword, and then you just had some items that you could use to vary it. But this one was you could equip different types of armour and shields that did different things, but you could also equip a multitude of weapons, including just being able to punch with your fists, which you can see here. But you could have swords, partisans, halberds. I think there was even bow and arrows in this one, although the bow and arrows weren't super strong. You could play in a multitude of ways. You weren't just stuck to being able to whip forward, and you could also transform into different animals, which had various different effects as well. Like the bat was able to make you fly, and the bat could also fire fireballs as well. There was a wolf that let you run really fast, and I think you could turn into mist as well, so you could get through grates and stuff like that. But anyone that's played this game is probably hearing the video they're watching now rather than listening to me, because the librarian was a very chatty man, shall we say. He was always happy to sell you new items. Definitely brings back a lot of memories of this game. I've definitely completed it quite a few times as well, because it's just fun to play. It's always fun learning the new abilities. One of the downsides though was the recoil that you had. There was no instant kill bits like there are in most Castlevania games, so it wasn't that bad, but the recoil that you got sometimes from getting hit was just insane. Like, that tiny little plant knocks you halfway down the stairs then. But you could level up in this game as well. So you could over level yourself to get through harder stages if you needed to. But in my personal opinion, it's still the best Castlevania game. There's been many a great game in the series, but this has always been one of my favourites. The boss fights are quite rememberable as well. In this game in particular as well, I remember some of the early boss fights that you do actually become regular enemies near the end as well, and that just shows how far you've come as a character. Number 4. So Yakuza, Like a Dragon. This game completely took me left field when I played it. never played a Yakuza game before, but I heard that this one was different and it was a JRPG rather than like an action game, I suppose you would say. The other Yakuza games are. But yeah, this game completely took me left field. Like the story is just incredible. It's a JRPG, but it's very down to earth. It's set in an in-world universe sort of thing, so it could quite easily be just a regular day in Japan. I want to say it's set in about 2018. No, is it? Might be 2021 or something like that. I can't remember now, but it's just set in everyday situations though. So, but the cast of characters they all had good storylines and backstories and were all lovable characters. There wasn't a single one that you didn't hate, and especially Ichiban there, who's the main character. He was just a great character to play along with. The combat was a traditional JRPG, and it used the class system that some of the Final Fantasies used, but rather than being called classes, they were jobs. So for instance, rather than having like a healer, you'd have like a medic. So the medic would dish out healing potions and stuff like that. What you would class as like a warrior would be a security guard, and what you'd class as like a red mage would actually be like a hostess instead. So she'd get the drinks in and dish out buffs like that. It was just a very unique way. I mean, a good way of explaining it is probably if you've ever played the game Earthbound. It was very much like that, whereas you're going around beating people up with baseball bats and batons and guitars as well. There was I can't remember what that class was called now, but there was one like a musician, I want to say, where you were a street performer and you could smash enemies over the heads with guitars. And the enemies in this game were quite unique as well, because they in turn were just regular humans as well, or the majority of them were regular humans. But they also had like different classes, so you could be fighting against barbers or butchers or just regular people that you'd find in the street, but they just jazzed it up a bit because it's the Yakuza series. There was some unique enemies as well, like I remember there's one boss fight where you've got to fight a chimpanzee in an excavator. That's quite funny. And what else was there? You had to fight just like a straight up tiger at one point. So it was you with a baseball bat against a tiger. And that was actually quite a tough fight as well, because the tiger could just do massive damage to you. It's a very, from what I know now, a very typical Yakuza game where the main storyline was actually a dead serious plot that had really good story, and then the sub-quests were just totally crazy. Another one that's just come off the top of my head is you had to do a boss fight with a giant Roomba, and when I say giant, this Roomba was like the size of 4 people, and it was a Roomba that cleaned streets rather than homes, so you could kind of guess the size of it. But yeah, that was another one of the weirder boss fights. But if you've not played this game and you love JRPGs, you need to play this game. It's so good. I was just I got it as a whim because we were in lockdown at the time when it came out because of COVID and stuff like that. And I just thought, I need a game to keep me busy. And I was seeing the review scores for this come in, and they weren't great. But a lot of them were saying, it's a JRPG that's different. And I just thought, you know what, let's get it on release day. And yeah, was not disappointed at all. easily put over 100 hours into this. But here's a fight now where you can see it's just, there's nothing magical about it at all. His magic skill there was unleashing pigeons on an enemy. So, it's just a great game to play, and because it's a Yakuza game as well, it had so many mini games in it as well. So there's pretty much a full-on Mario Kart clone in there. There's a business sim like all Yakuza games have. All the different arcade games, the Sega arcade games that you can play, and various sports as well. Like there was golf and darts. But yeah, it's just there was plenty of games in this game. Number 3, Alundra. Alundra, not to discredit it, is a Zelda clone. It's the only game, in my opinion, that's ever done Zelda better than Zelda. Which I know, again, that's probably another comment that some people will hate, but Zelda was done by a British video game studio that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. But they also did the Wipeout series, if you're aware of them. And this is just basically a Zelda a clone essentially. You play Alundra, who's a boy that's travelled to an island because it's heard that it's been plagued by nightmares, and he has the ability to enter people's dreams and sort them out so that they can wake from their nightmares. What made this game better than Zelda, in my opinion, is that it's just it's way bigger. So not typically Zelda games have like an 8 dungeon system where you have eight big dungeons to explore, find new items that help you explore even more of the island. And this one had more dungeons. You must have had more dungeons to begin with, but then the dreams that you have to explore to wake people up are just as big as dungeons as well, and there's more of those on top of the areas that you have to explore. The items that you can get as well that aid you on your quest are quite. There's a lot more of them than a Zelda game as well. And this game also has a very a more mature theme, should I say. It talks about gods and demons and all sorts of things, and there's plenty of different enemy types that they vary from slimes to monkeys that you can see here in this video, but there's huge demons to fight and dragons, and it's just it was the type of Zelda game that you would want to have played if you played Zelda as a kid, and then grown up to be an adult but didn't want that save the princess sort of aesthetic, or the Nintendo cuteness that sometimes happens with games. But and again, this is another PS1 game. You can get it on the PS3 as a PS1 classic, but I think that's the only other way that you can actually play the game right now. But I would highly recommend it. It was such a good game as a kid. I definitely played Link's Awakening first because I had that on the Game Boy, but this was probably my second sort of Zelda adventure, and I just didn't realise how good I'd had it until I played some of the others, because this is easily one of the best would put this better than Ocarina of Time, in my opinion. Again, that's not going to be a comment that some people like, as Ocarina of Time is a beloved game, but yeah, this one just, it's always one that I go back to every couple of years just to have some fun with and re-explore the island. The only negative thing I could say about this game is the isometric viewpoint, because it asks you to do a lot of jumping and various depth puzzle solving. So it's quite hard to do with the isometric view. You can see here that those spiked balls way in advance, but they're actually further on down the map. This game did have some anime cutscenes as well, which for the West at the time was actually quite a unique thing. There wasn't much anime. It was only just starting to get popular when this game sort of came out. So number 2, the original Dark Souls. It was very difficult not to put Elden Ring on this list at all. If I had an honourable mention, it would definitely be Elden Ring. But Dark Souls 1, it just holds more of a memory for me. I remember where I was when I beat Dark Souls 1 for the first time. Now the meme is that a lot of people say that this game is super difficult, and I'll be honest, it's not that difficult. You will die a lot in the game, but the deaths are normally your fault. It's not an unfair game. It's just you just have to learn how to play it, I suppose, is the best way of saying it. This game holds a lot of memories for me, because I'd just moved out of my parents' house when it first came out, and the month that it came out, me and a friend were going to it would be known as a Comic-Con, but the UK don't call it a Comic-Con. It's just like an anime convention, I suppose is the best way of saying it. And we wanted to save up money so we could go on a massive spending spree in London that weekend that we were there. So we decided that to save money, we needed to spend money, and we both bought Dark Souls, and we took it back to my house and set up our TVs and our PlayStations to play multiplayer together. And we're good to find that we had to actually play some of the game first to be able to do it co-op, but we eventually found out how to do it. And we played through Dark Souls. So in the end, he slowly bowed out of it because it just infuriated him. But I stuck with it and eventually managed to defeat the final boss, which is no easy feat for sure. But the reasons why I chose this over Elden Ring as well is that although Elden Ring is open world and that's a cool thing, I prefer the labyrinth that this game was. So this, you could almost argue that this is a Metroidvania game, because of the level design. You'll be surprised how many times you loop around onto yourself and realise what parts of the world are connected to each other. And sometimes it's in the most needed of situations as well. I just preferred the level design of this because it had to think about what it was doing. Whereas Elden Ring's it's just an open world, and you go out and explore, and they put things in the world for you to explore. Again, I don't want to diss Elden Ring too much, because I do feel like it should be on this list somewhere, but I just couldn't find a spot to put it in the top 10. And another thing that I don't like about Elden Ring is that because of the open world, you can just go, and if you get stuck on something, you can just go and explore somewhere else and level up and come back when you're stronger, whereas with Dark Souls, that was a lot harder to do. It's not to say you couldn't do it, but a lot of the times if you were stuck on a bus, you had to learn the patterns and learn what he was weak against and just keep practicing. Number 1. No surprises here, but it's Final Fantasy VII, so I'm sure there's already some people that are annoyed by that comment, but yeah, Final Fantasy VII is just, it's by no means a perfect game at all. I would never defend it saying it's a perfect game, but it's, man, does it just hold so many memories for me. I can remember when I started playing this game and the day that I finished it. I can remember the dates. That's how much I loved this game. I started playing this on my birthday because on that birthday I got a PS1 with a copy of this Tenchu Stealth. No, was it Tenchu? I got Final Fantasy VII, a wrestling game. And it might have been Tenchu Stealth Assassin. It might have been. I can't remember. But yeah, I played this on my birthday, and I finished it on Christmas Eve. And those dates always stick in my head, and for a game to do that, it clearly means a lot to you. So I won't go into too much about what Final Fantasy VII is, as I'm sure. I mean, if you haven't heard of Final Fantasy VII, I mean, you mustn't play video games because everybody knows about this game. It's just an absolute classic JRPG that just such a good game. The story was good. The combat, the battle system was good. The junction system with the magic and the material was just good. Sorry, I keep saying good, and I should try and think of some other words. But I mean, we're currently 47 minutes into the video, so yeah, I've been talking for quite a while. But yeah, this game just came at the right time for me before I played this game. Video games were just something that I did when it rained. So I had a Mega Drive, I had an Amiga. Whenever it rained outside and I couldn't play football, I'd play video games when it rained. Yeah, this was the one that made me realise, oh no, I actually love video games and I don't like football, and that's when I stopped playing and dived deeper into video games. And so I might not have played any of the other games that were on this list if it wasn't for this one game. So yeah, it's just a classic JRPG, and the story is very much I'm sure everyone knows what happens in the story. There's going to be no spoilers, but I'm super excited for the remake. The first part I really liked, even though it's not the Final Fantasy VII that I would choose to remake. It was a good remake of the game. Definitely gave the story some more depth, and some of the new additions were good. It didn't feel like it was jarring or anything. And yeah, the second part comes out at the end of the year, which I'm super excited for. I'm probably going to have to buy a PS5 when it comes out, so that I can get it and play it. But yeah, just such a good, the characters were good. There was no annoying characters in this one, and there were some translation issues, which is, they're going to happen, but because Japanese games weren't super popular at the time, especially in the UK. At the time when this came out, the UK was playing platformers and sports games, and that was it pretty much. So, but yeah, I've been Foamy ASMR, and thank you for watching this video. This video is actually in celebration of me hitting 100 subscribers, which I just never could believe that I would get that many. I don't know how quick other people get to 100 subscribers, but I've only been doing this for no more than 6 months, so to me that seems pretty quick. But I'm glad you enjoyed the videos. I hope to do this more and more in the future. Again, thank you. If you've ever left a comment on a video, it's been great to talk to you, to message you back. And if you ever liked a video, that's really helped the channel grow and get more people to watch. So I owe the success to you, really. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.